Hey, Friday is here, finally, and we've had one heck of a week of basketball. And yesterday, amazing stuff, Amadeus. We just, basically a bunch of fantastic basketball all this past 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a ton of upsets already. There was some early upsets in these conference tournaments, in some of the smaller ones, but now we've had the big conference tournaments going these past few days, and man, yesterday was definitely a dog day because there was a lot of big upsets. Obviously, the two biggest ones I would think were the Duke upset by NC State and the
Mhm.
Creighton upset by Providence.
Oh, 100%. And if you look today, all right, at recess, Mississippi State 36, sorry, 38, Tennessee 19.
Yeah, definitely. We got another big ranked team on upset alert here. Obviously, that game's at halftime, and I mean we've seen like UConn
Mhm.
yesterday. They were tied pretty much. They were up by 1.5 against Xavier, and they ended up winning by 27. So who knows? Maybe Tennessee comes out in the second half and puts the clamps down, but. Yeah, they're on upset alert right now, and that's going to be huge because we've talked a lot about how Tennessee is in the draw for that last
Right,
number
the
one
seeding.
seed. So if they get kicked out here, then I would say that puts them out if North Carolina and Arizona go on to win their respective tournaments. So
Yeah,
definitely some big implications with this. Obviously, Mississippi State, they're one of those teams that they were 8-10 in the SEC this year. By our standards, they wouldn't be in the tournament with the bowl eligibility rule. We would like to
right.
see come into play sometime in the future, but. Yeah, so Mississippi State, that this will be a huge win for them. Definitely helps them get an at-large bid with if they make a splash here.
And Purdue just got by Michigan State 61-58, and actually it was free throws toward the end there that got them the deal. So actually, that game has 28 seconds left. Spartans called a timeout. So Michigan State with the ball uh, and down to Purdue, by 3 points. And yeah, there are guys on that team can hit 3 pointers.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens. I don't think Purdue is going to be going out today, but Michigan State, yeah, definitely gave them a little run for their money. They never were worried about Purdue losing. They were pretty much leading the whole time, but definitely, Michigan State that came back in these last few
Mhm.
minutes, and then they ended up tying it at 56. And as you said, Purdue hit a three, and then Michigan State missed and had to foul. But uh, yeah, that could have gone either way. Michigan State hits their 3 point. We could have been seeing an overtime game here. So definitely, Purdue almost on upset alert, but looks like they'll be safe. Tennessee will definitely be one to watch. That second half just started. And then, big shout out to our boys over at South Florida, just absolutely kicking the teeth in of East Carolina.
Yeah, they just started the second half with a 7-0 run, and they're up 51-32 on East Carolina
Yeah.
in with 16-17 left to go in the uh, in the game. And Ezra Azur is at the line for a couple of free throws for ECU. Anyway, 51-33. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
Wisconsin and Northwestern will play. That's on the Big Ten Network at 2:30. Also, 3 o'clock, Bethune-Cookman and Grambling. That's a SWAC tournament game. Let's see what else is going on this afternoon. 3 o'clock, start Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. That's on CBS Sports Net. And it's a Conference USA tournament over in Huntsville, Alabama. Wichita State, they're the Giant Killers. And Wichita State, after the USF game, will be playing UAB. So Birmingham is in the crosshairs of this Wichita State team that just doesn't seem to know they're not supposed to win.
Yeah, so that's another one. More upsets. We said yesterday was a huge upset day.
Yeah.
And to the listeners out there, I hope you listened to me a few days ago when I said grab South Florida at plus 500 before the higher seeds start to play. Because sure enough, there were two teams ahead of South Florida. Really, there was four teams technically ahead of South Florida in the odds. Those four teams were FAU, Charlotte, who are still in it. But the other two who were ahead of them to win the tournament were Memphis and SMU. And obviously, Wichita State kicked Memphis out. Memphis being a team a lot of people had already penciled in the bracket. So that's definitely going to throw, especially with the way they played the regular season, it's going to be very hard for them to make a case now in getting into the tournament. And SMU was also upset by, Temple, who all of a sudden – You said it yourself. They should have been better this year, and I guess they were just waiting for the conference tournament to show it, because now all of a sudden they're on a little 3-game win streak. They've won 6 of their last 8, and Temple kicked out the big bad SMU, who was supposedly a top 3 team according to the odds makers to win this tournament. So yeah, if you tailed me on that South Florida plus 500, we are looking very good. 2 of the teams ahead of them have been kicked out of the tournament. And really, I think it's safe to say at this point, it's just, Charlotte and FAU, they'd really have to, or it's UAB as well. UAB did beat them earlier in the season. So really, not too bad. Not looking at too bad of a road here to the finals for them.
No, and the way that North Texas played last night, and they are, for all intents and purposes, North Texas is one of the home teams. I mean, because they are right there in the metroplex of Fort Worth and Dallas. So they get FAU this evening, and then the late game in that in the American Conference, the late game is, why am I missing it? Because it's got to be it's FAU's at. Is it 7? And so that would mean somewhere around 9. Let's see.
I think it's Temple
and
UAB.
Charlotte. It's Charlotte.
Sorry.
So there's still 3 games to be played. So FAU, Charlotte, and Birmingham are all, they're still have to play their games. So we'll see how that goes. The Southeastern Conference, man, it's a mess. It is an absolute mess. It would be a bigger mess if Tennessee loses. Let's see what we got on that slate. After the Tennessee game is South Carolina and Auburn, followed in the night groupings for that, Kentucky, who might just be the benefactor of Tennessee's problems. Takes on Texas A&M, and then Florida and Alabama played the late game in the tournament in Nashville. So all kinds, and Pitt plays North Carolina. That's not going to be an easy game either.
Yeah, definitely the Pitt UNC one will be a solid game. Pitt obviously with the 4th seed in that tournament. UNC, we'll see. They might be a little motivated after seeing Duke lose, knowing that that was their biggest threat to the tournament. If they get past Pitt here, who knows? Because then what, NC State also faces Virginia, so that'll be an interesting one. Virginia is a very weird team where they're dominant at home, but very different on the road. This game's a neutral site, so. A lot to be considered in the ACC as well.
Oh, you got to love this one, right? 5:30 tonight on Fox. On Fox, Ricky and St. John's takes on UConn.
Yeah, they showed up. They showed up big against Seton Hall yesterday, but we'll see. UConn's a whole nother animal, so we'll see what the defending champions have to say. You and I talked yesterday about how, UConn might be coming for this tournament just because it was the one thing really they didn't win last year. So could be something that they have circled this year and they'll be really pushing for.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. Excuse me.
Do you need water?
I've got some right here, but doesn't seem to work. I'm choking a little bit here. Give me a second, Amadeus. Let me just get some water here. Okay.
Yeah, sure thing. I'll keep
vamp for me here. Talk a little bit.
Of course. Keep the lovely listeners, up to date with our live scores here. We got 2 seconds left in the Michigan State Purdue game. 65-62 for Purdue, and Michigan State just fouled, so Purdue's getting 2 free throws. Like I said, looks like that game is pretty much over. I would take a miracle with 3 seconds left for Michigan State to pull it out, but maybe this performance, helps their resume a bit, just because obviously they got that name value with Tom Izzo. Maybe this was enough, especially the way they won yesterday against Minnesota. But that might be enough to get them in the tournament. I believe Izzo even said himself that he thinks that they should be good, but do they think they're safe? No. So they were definitely trying in this, and they gave Purdue a run for their money today. So that is interesting. The Sam Houston UTEP game, Sam Houston's lead has evaporated now. They're just up by 1, 47-46 on UTEP. We've got our boys over at South Florida still taking care of business, up 53-33 on East Carolina. They're absolutely rolling. Now, got to say a big shout out to my boys at South Florida. That's how you respond. Obviously, their last game was that loss to Tulsa at the end of the season, but this is the sign of a good team, right? You put that in the rearview mirror and you focus on this game. And not only do you focus on winning this game, you come out and you absolutely destroy. That is how good teams respond. And that's exactly what we've seen from South Florida here. 53-33, nice 20-point lead. They've been dominant right from the start of this game. So definitely good on our boys out there. And with the Tennessee game, Tennessee's still on upset alert. The second half just started. We're about 4 minutes in. They've cut back on the lead a bit. Went on a little 7-2 run to start the second half here, so they're down 40-26 still. We'll see. I mean, like I said, we saw UConn yesterday. They were up by 1 at half, and then they outscore Xavier 26 points in the second half. So Tennessee's got those capabilities. We'll see if they can erase this 14-point deficit and turn the tables on Mississippi State. That'll be an interesting one. Mississippi State, I know as a team, Jim mentioned that they might be a team to watch here, and then sure enough, they're proving it, but they're coming out a bit flat in the second half. So we'll see what happens here.
Well, we'll see. Well done, you. Nice job of stepping in and giving us the latest in the way of scores and keeping everybody up to date.
And Purdue is final now, by the way. It just ended. It's off.
Just final. So Izzo and the gang couldn't pull off the upset. So there you go, boys and girls.
But they came close. So
they did.
Maybe that weights into the decision to put them in.
It may. The next game in the Big Ten is on the Big Ten Network. Northwestern and Wisconsin. That's a 4-5 game, and Northwestern has had a pretty up and down season, as has Wisconsin. I don't know. Northwestern is a 3.5-point favorite here. I don't know about that. To me, that's a toss-up game.
Yeah, definitely. Wisconsin, they had some good. The Big Ten's been kind of like this. There's been a lot of teams like that, like Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern. They all had strong starts to the season. Then, maybe a little not great during the thick of it, but now we're getting towards the end and they've been heating up again. So I'm with you. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if either team won that game, was Wisconsin or Northwestern. I think they're both quality enough teams to beat each other. So it wouldn't shock me to see either go through.
100%. The one that's been crazy has been the MAC. I mean, it doesn't matter what your ranking is in the MAC. Nobody is safe. The 5 o'clock game today in the MAC is Kent State and Bowling Green, and that's actually a 1 point game in that one. That's going to be on CBS Sports Network at 5 o'clock. So, man, the MAC has just been crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I personally, haven't been following the MAC too much, but did Akron get kicked out? I didn't see if that was an upset yesterday. I know Toledo was obviously the big upset early on.
Akron's still there. They play.
Okay.
It's a 2-3 game tonight. Again, CBS Sports Network, and that is Ohio and Akron. Ohio's the 3 seed, and Akron's the 4 seed. They'll be playing, as we said before, in the MAC tournament at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, where there's going to be a whole lot of Akron fans, I would imagine. Oregon and Arizona in the Pac-12. That's on the Pac-12 network tonight. Good game, definitely good game on FS1 at 8 o'clock tonight. It is a Big East Conference game being played at the at the Garden. Marquette hosts Providence. Marquette hosting, meaning that they are the higher seed. It's a 3-7 matchup there. Marquette, you and I are good fans of Shaka Smart and Marquette. Now, they are playing without their best player, but they've been able to, survive in that situation. So we'll see how that's going. Quick look at the Big West champion. Well, I'm sorry, Big West tournament going on at the Dollar Loan Arena in Henderson, Nevada, which is a suburb of Vegas. Interestingly enough, you got 3 tournaments going on in Vegas at the same time. You've got the Pac-12 tournament, you've got the Mountain West tournament, and then you've got the Big West tournament, all going on basically, for all intents and purposes, in Vegas. So Vegas has become a hot place for college basketball. That'll be the number 1 seed, UC Irvine, taking on Long Beach State at 9 o'clock tonight. So there's definitely going to be some fun games going well into the late night situation. The true nightcaps are Iowa State, which played really well yesterday, taking on Baylor. That's a 2-3 matchup, 9:30 on ESPN. On the SEC network, number 3 seed Alabama and 4 seed Florida. That game will tip at 9:30 on SEC. Virginia and NC State. NC State pulled off that upset, as you said, over Duke yesterday. That's on the Deuce. CBSN, San Diego State, Utah State. That is going to be that's going to be one to watch. Utah State, San Diego State on CBS Sports Network tonight at 9:30. Washington State and Colorado. That's a 2-3 matchup at 10:30. And that's on FS1. 11:30, the late game on the Deuce, is UC Davis and Hawaii. That's a 2-3 matchup in the Big West. And then 11:30, and 11:30 is Tarleton State and UT Arlington. That's the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC, and now you're going to play that game also in Orleans Arena in Vegas. Now, when they say Orleans Arena, that's actually an arena inside a casino, which is interesting, given the fact that up until a few years ago, you would never have seen. That makes the 4th tournament in Vegas. And then at midnight, if you really want to have some fun, New Mexico and Colorado State. That's not a bad game for a midnight tip on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah, definitely. New Mexico and Colorado State is going to be a good one.
We're gonna have a lot of bleary-eyed people tomorrow morning. There's no question about that. Not to mention some bleary-eyed coaches who'll probably be out of a job. That's crazy. So yeah. So Purdue did, as you said, Purdue closed it out with Michigan 67-62. So yeah, let's see how that plays out. And so I mean, what we're getting here is a cross section of, you know what, some of these teams that are ranked lower in the seeding are proving to be, you know, are proving to be good. Now, what that does do is it takes away from the theory of, when we're talking about, well, does it penalize the team that's been there, and the number ones and two seeds, right? Who've had good seasons, throughout. When you get to a tournament, the interesting part of it, as we've seen so far, excuse me, is that you only have to be good for 5 days. You can go on a mini winning streak and have a terrible season, but in that mini winning streak, you end up, being the team that represents the conference in the tournament.
Yeah, that's really what it is, and you see it a lot with these lower seeds, right? They finish the
Mhm.
season losing, 5, 6 straight games, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden they come out hot in the conference tournament because it's like that's where they focused all their energy. They know the season's shot, don't have much of a chance. It's all about winning the conference tournament now.
Well, there's that, and then there's, basketball at times is a streaky thing to go. And sometimes you guys will get hot. I mean, how often, and we've seen it, in other sports, where you've got in baseball the wild card, where the wild card will win the World Series, and throughout the entire season, there's been teams better. And in football and basketball and hockey, I mean, it's not an uncommon thing. As a matter of fact, you almost somebody's gonna do it once a year. Come in at least close to the finals, if not going into the finals, and maybe even winning the championship. So it happens, but it does penalize, as we said before, it penalizes the teams that for the entire season have played well. But sorry, guys, you don't even get a consolation prize. And
Yeah.
what this season, because of the parity, what this season is going to do is it's going to give the NIT one heck of a amazing field of play.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of quality teams that get left out, I think, and that's why I'm such an advocate for double the field, double the automatic bids, because I
Right.
don't think you should be penalized for the way you ended this, the conference tournament, especially when you're not used to playing 2, 3, 4 straight days in a row. It doesn't really happen during a regular season. Shouldn't be penalized when you're the best team over the course of a regular season. There should be a reward for that as well, or else you're just making the regular season meaningless.
Right. And I was listening to the Memphis broadcast team yesterday, uh, who were less than excited about how that turned out for them. And the first thing out of the guy's mouth when the game was over is, "Oh, wait a minute!" He goes, "The NIT, we couldn't even host a game." And the reason they couldn't is that the circus is in their building, and so where they play, which is the same place that the Memphis Grizzlies play, and so they're out on if they would go and play in the NIT, they would then have to play against someone on the road, and then even if they win, they couldn't come home. So that would make for a very interesting. I assume they could play on campus, but that's probably not a very, you know, the campus facility is probably not what they would want to showcase if they played in the NIT.
Yeah, well, shouldn't have booked the circus before you knew where you were going to be.
Well, I think they thought they were going to be in the NCAA tournaments. They didn't.
That's exactly what they thought. That's what that tells me. And you know what? That's just karma, Jim. Don't book the circus in assuming you're going to be at the big dance.
Right. It's maybe they could borrow a couple of maybe one of the high school gyms there would be able to host them. You never know. But no, it's I mean I felt it was one of those things where the guys are like, well, if we get an NIT bid, which I mean I would assume they would, but the NIT, if I mean I don't think that they want to say no to the NIT, but we'll see how that works out. But yeah, Memphis is in that. Let's see where we can go and play next category. And that, by the way, is a team that was ranked 10th in the AP poll for a couple of weeks earlier in the season.
Yeah, definitely. They came into the season as a ranked team, I believe, and they were ranked very early on. So
Yeah.
Definitely a shock. They had high hopes, and it was that loss to our boys that put them through a spiral this season. That's when it all really started to unravel for them.
It did, and the only other team with what's called the net, which is the ranking systems of college basketball teams that you play, is SMU, and so that just goes to show that ranking at the end of the day, even though they did well in that in the NET deal, right? Because of their own conference tournament, they're not going to be allowed to benefit from that.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, but it seems to be, the way of the world at this point in time. I think, let me check this right here. There's less than 3 minutes left to go in the UTEP Sam Houston game, and got to get Sam Houston on the pony here because they're down by 6, 57-51.
Yeah, they've absolutely blown the lead they had. They were up by 10 at one point, and they've had a big problem with hitting shots and rebounding. They haven't been able to get the rebounds, and it's really hurt them down this final stretch of the game.
Lamar Wilkerson's at the line. He's made the first of 2 3 shows. Now he made the second, and they're down by 4 points, 57-53. UTEP up on Sam Houston in that game, which of course is Conference USA. And quick look, South Florida's up 20 on East Carolina, 63-43 as they go, and that's on ESPN2. The Sam Houston UTEP game is on CBSN. Should you wish to watch it, there's 3. They're in timeout, and there's basically 3 minutes left to go in the game. There's plenty of time for Sam Houston to right the ship in that regard from Conference USA in that tournament. So they can get back. There's time. We looked at Wichita State. We talked about North Texas. North Texas, interesting. North Texas is in the top 25 in the country in rebounding. So you don't get, if you miss a shot against North Texas, you're probably not going to get the rebound. So you have to get in there and play. So you would think a top 25 team that is that good on the boards would have a better record than North Texas State and North Texas.
Yeah,
that's right.
You definitely think so, but I mean, sometimes you find ways to lose games. This is going to be an interesting game for them against FAU, just because you got to remember they came from the Conference USA with FAU, so
they know each other.
Yeah, these two go back. They've had some tight games the last 2 seasons, so definitely don't expect FAU to just blow anybody out there. North Texas is the kind of team that could give them some trouble for sure.
You're right in so much as when you play FAU's a tall team, pretty tall team anyway. And that's what North Texas is. So, sometimes you get the situations where your strength and the opposing team strengths are the same things. And that's where North Texas, you don't think that North Texas would love to, knock off FAU? That would be Christmas, Easter, and your birthday as far as they're concerned. So that would be big news if they could pull that off. And so we'll see how that comes out. But that's those are the kind of games, and I don't think FAU wants I think they know how how North Texas wants to take them out to the woodshed, and we'll see how that plays out. But it has the potential of being a very interesting game to be sure, as all of these games in the today have. I mean, there's really not a clunker in the bunch.
Yeah, definitely some solid games across the board, and they're going to only get better as we get deeper into the night. So
Yeah, we were talking about the last one is one that for all intents and purposes midnight is a game that would definitely be worth taking a nap this afternoon and coming back at midnight just to watch it. We got that late game at 9:30, but San Diego State and Utah State, which should be good. Virginia and NC State, that's not a bad basketball game. Colorado and Washington State. Colorado's been playing well lately. Washington State has, is the number 2 seed in there. Hawaii and UC Davis. We said 11:30. That's gonna be fun. And then the nightcap for the Mountain West tournament at 10:59 on CBSN of Colorado State and New Mexico. It's 7-6 seeded deal. Definitely is going to be fun. So there's quality basketball all up and down the the schedule here this afternoon. Any suggestions or tips that you can give some people who might want to wager without we don't have time. We'll get to your stuff later in the show box, but are these things where what kind of point spreads in these games would you say is a good investment? What types of point spreads in these games would you say is a bad one?
yeah, it's really dependent on the team. There's a lot of these games where, especially with the upsets we've had, we'll see teams that are a short 3, 4, 5 point favorite, and I would suggest you take the points in that, especially if the teams are pretty similar, even in strength, then always take the points, because it's one of those games that could go right down to the wire, where it's settled right at the end with maybe a few free throws. So yeah, that's always one thing to watch. You got to keep in mind rest as well, because some of these teams, there's a few teams today that are playing their 4th straight game. So definitely that's mindful. And there's some teams that are literally playing their first game, haven't played since Sunday or Saturday. So always be mindful of the rest situation as well.
And there's one here that jumps out at me, and it's Oregon, a 4 seed, and Arizona, which is the 1 seed, obviously in the pack. Arizona, at least on my the book that they have here, is an 11.5 point favorite. I don't think I'd give up 11.5 points to Oregon. Oregon has played Arizona pretty well this season in 2 times that they played. That seems like a lot of points for an Arizona team that is definitely schizophrenic.
Yeah, it's tough to say, just because Arizona, we've seen so many times they can win a game by 30 points easily.
Oh, yeah.
They destroyed USC when they wanted to show up yesterday. They are playing on the back-to-back, but they have that capability for sure. But from what we've seen today, Purdue was close to a double-digit favorite today. They didn't cover that. Tennessee was a double-digit favorite today. They're losing by 20 points. So far, we're off to a start where the big, 9, 10, 11 point favorites are not covering right now. So that might be something to keep in mind as well.
Well, and sometimes, the best thing to do is stay away from a game like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other games that are much more, entertaining from a standpoint of you're getting money, your value for your investment. That I don't think is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I personally like to stay away from those kind of games where the spreads are, 8, 9, 10 points, because it could come right down to the end. I was on it's rare. I'll take those games. I was on the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday, And that was a game they won by 9 points. If they don't hit the last 2 free throws, they don't cover by 9. They don't cover the spread. They just win the game by 7. So definitely, when you get into those areas, it becomes a matter of the end of the game can really change the final result. So always got to be mindful of that as well.
You brought up a very good point, and that was that in college, especially when the game is relatively close at the end, or let's say you've got a 5 or 6 point margin going down there, the team from behind begins the foul process, right? They'll start fouling guys with a minute or 2 left in the game, and you're sending guys to the line, and you end up with a score that looks like they had a pretty easy afternoon, when in fact it was a 2 or 3 point game, but they decided, the team that was behind decided, we need to start fouling in hopes that they'll miss the free throws and we'll get a chance to get back. That actually happened in the Memphis game yesterday.
Memphis happened in the Tulsa game too.
Yeah. Memphis got there and realized, okay, we'll have to start fouling these guys. They started fouling, and then suddenly, they started making the free throws. So, it can work against you as well as it can work for you. And more often than not, it really does work against you.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially, you need to know the free throw capabilities of the team. You're now in that game yesterday. It was. I was thinking Wichita State. Wichita State couldn't hit a free throw to save their life during the game, but whenever they sent them to the line toward the end of the game, they were able to stick it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff you get in circumstances like that. But it is what it is, and we will just keep watching on that and keep hoping that things come out. So, any we know that we've talked about basketball today, and we've got a wild and fun day of basketball going on. Tomorrow, soccer. Anything that piques your fancy on that one?
Yeah, of course. There's always big games going on over in Europe. Let me just pop over to the schedule here, see what's happening for tomorrow's games. Ever since they updated my my sports book, I've had trouble finding these games now. I don't know what the hell they're doing over here, but they're doing a terrible job, absolutely terrible with their new updates. Updates always ruin everything. Anyway, I do have the games here now. Finally, this is going to be a decent one tomorrow in Fulham and Tottenham, so that might be one to watch. There's not many. There's only 3 Premier League matches tomorrow, and then on Sunday we just have the one with West Ham and Aston Villa. So that'll definitely be an exciting match to watch. And then let me just pop over to the MLS here and see what's going on in the MLS tomorrow. I know Inter Miami won big during the week against Nashville in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they'll be playing DC United at 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be an interesting match, just because Messi versus Benteke. Benteke has come in the league and really made a splash for DC this year. So that'll be a fun one to watch for sure. Just looking at some of these other games, Minnesota and LAFC might be a bit of an interesting one to watch, I would think, just because Minnesota's a team I think should see improvement this year. LAFC is a team I think will be on the decline, so it'll be interesting. And then really the 2 good games are on Sunday. We got New England versus Cincinnati and Atlanta versus Orlando. So those will be the Sunday action in the MLS.
It also just so that folks keep track on it. It also is kickoff tomorrow. So kickoff Sunday for the women's league, the NWSL, and you know, the NWSL, they're doing some fun things that you and I talked about from a scheduling standpoint. They do games at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then of course the late games. They have a TV package, which is really going to be good. It's a Friday night game on Amazon, a double header on Saturday with Ion TV. They'll have games on CBS Sports Network and Paramount Plus. They'll also have games on ESPN and ESPN Plus. So there's going to be a lot of capabilities for watching women's soccer. They also have a thing called NWSL Plus, which is free. You can download it and you can watch the games on your phone or on a streaming device. And so there are 14 teams in the league. They've expanded, and now we'll see. So it's good for women's soccer, and the opportunity to watch them on multiple platforms is all there for you. This just in, really, and that is Notre Dame and the conferences agree on a 6-year deal to continue the CFP through 2031. The 9 subdivision conferences and Notre Dame have reached an agreement, which is 6 years to continue the CFP playoff through the 2031 season. It's a significant step, and the reason it is a significant step is that the money it allows now the TV partner, which is ESPN, to begin the process of finding partners, because ESPN put up I think it was $7 billion for the rights, but they had told the CFP that they were going out and also selling the rights. So in essence, ESPN is serving as the subcontractor, and so Fox and NBC and anybody else who has interest in getting in on the CFP, whether it's a streaming service or a network, will work through ESPN to get that job done. And I imagine there's going to be at least 2 more partners, because the number that they're going to look for is going to be north of probably 14 to somewhere between 14 and 20. I'm sorry, north of $10 billion for that package. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it plays out. And the revenue sharing we gave you yesterday, which was the revenue sharing plan of the SEC, the Big Ten, getting the lion's share of it, with the ACC and the Big 12 getting not quite the same, but pretty close to the same. So there you go. It's expected, by the way, Notre Dame is alone expected to cash a check for $12 million each year, with financial incentives and other situations for making the playoffs. So that's what you can expect. The richer is going to get richer. There's no question about that. But yeah, the CFP deal is done. 6 years through 2031, an extension of the deal that they already have. The key points here to remember is that next year we're going to a 12-team tournament, but what the deal did is it allows for even more expansion, so they can expand the tournament beyond 12 if they so choose to do that between now and 2025, excuse me, and 2032, 31, 32. Let me look real quick. 31. So between 2035 and 2031, they have the opportunity to go from 12 to whatever number they think is the right one. So there you go. This agreement is a really important next step for the CFP. The director, Bob Hancock, told told the Associated Press it assures our fans will continue to have a postseason football tournament to enjoy. They'll see the best teams in the country competing for a national championship. Again, the invitational will be in place as usual. So there you go. All right. So anything that you want to share with the class before we get out of here?
Yeah, just make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. Like I said yesterday, tons of action the next few days over the weekend as well. Hard to keep track. There's games going on now, but make sure you check that out. And big shout out to our boys at South Florida, up by 30 points now. Can't really see them losing this one with 4 minutes. So that's a great way to respond. And I just – you better win the tournament for me, because we just had a huge upset alert with Sam Houston. They got kicked out by UTEP.
Sorry about that. My fingers hit the wrong button.
Yeah, just saying that killed my future with Sam Houston. I can't believe they couldn't squeak out a win against UTEP when they were winning by 10 for a good majority of that game. But it's all up to you guys now. South Florida, you're my last plus 500. All my other futures are nowhere near the value. So let's go Bulls.
There you go. Horns up. With 5 minutes left to go, Mississippi State 60, Tennessee 48 on ESPN.
Trying to piss away that lead.
Oh man, that's one of those nail biters, right? You that's one of those ones that if you're the coach, you say don't look at the scoreboard. Stay away from the scoreboard. Just play the game, and don't get freaked. The problem with Mississippi State and Tennessee, right, is they're playing that game in Nashville. How many Tennessee fans you think is there?
Yeah, I'm shocked, because it's more of a home advantage really for Tennessee. I'm shocked they even allowed themselves to get down by 20 in that first half.
I mean, half the people in the city of Nashville either graduated from Tennessee or they say they did. So
yeah, you always say, really, Nashville is where the fans are. They're just saving them a trip up to Knoxville by having the tournament here. So a huge disappointment from this Tennessee team. And frankly, if they go on to lose this game, they don't deserve the number 1 seed.
Well, then just a second ago, with 4 minutes and 36 seconds left to go, JP Australia, basically got a personal foul on Mississippi State. So Mississippi State's going to go to the free throw line for a couple of free throws. So, don't give it away for free, boys and girls. That's gonna get you in trouble. And South Florida just made another score to go up 80 to 50.
Nice 30-point win.
Yeah, they certainly covered the spread, which I think was 7 points, but they don't always do that. So you got to be careful on that. But all right, by the time we get back here on Monday, and we'll tell you the time, we will tweet you the time. Stay tuned. It's going to be a very interesting thing, because we're going to have the brackets, and like I said, we're both going to have our 10 hats ready to go, because we're certainly going to have something to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to have tinfoil hats and tons of rants by Monday. So I'm sure, I don't know who's going to be in the bracket, but I can guarantee I'm not going to be happy about certain teams in there regardless. So it doesn't matter who they pick on Sunday. I'll find something to be mad about.
Yeah, you don't have to. You're not going to have to worry about that. It's going to be that way. Okay. So we'll let you know what the time is, and but bring your brackets with you, because we'll have some fun. And remembering that you don't have to fill out that bracket for the first 2 games. They give you the first 4 give you they give you kind of a pass on that one. So don't worry about that. Just take a deep breath and bring them with you. Okay. So we'll see you then on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and we will see you. Enjoy the weekend, because there's going to be a lot more basketball. Until then, see you on Monday, guys. Bye-bye.